I'm a Hufflepuff. Seriously, not sure what the big deal is about picking on us Hufflepuffs. Maybe it's not everybody, but it feels like everybody. There's nothing wrong with us. We're quite a lovely house. So talking about the houses is probably a little early because in the order of the books it doesn't go, but I had to address it first because Sean decided to make it a thing. Every test I've ever taken has put me in Hufflepuff, so that's why I had to address this whole teasing the Hufflepuffs. If you're just reading this for the first time, you don't know a whole lot more about the Hufflepuffs than the rest of us who've read them many times. You might belong in Hufflepuff where they are just and loyal. Those patient Hufflepuffs are true and unafraid of toil. That's all. That's about all that's given unto us about the Hufflepuffs. But I do think they're a lovely bunch, and some people, especially the Slytherins, should be nice to them because they should. We meet so many new characters. So many characters that I love, that I spend 7 books loving in this. And I really don't even know where to begin. I guess I will begin with the Weasleys because they make up a majority of the new characters that we met. And I love almost every single Weasley. I love Molly Weasley. She's one of my favorites and one of the few maternal characters that we actually see in this book. So, she's fabulous, and I really love Ron because he comes in and thinks it's pretty cool that Harry's Harry Potter, but the Weasleys are just such a down-to-earth group that Harry really couldn't have befriended anyone else. The fact that he became best friends with Ron Weasley almost from the start pretty much was perfect, and I'm sure Dumbledore was quite pleased. You know, I think I touched last week on that whole thing about Harry being raised with the Dursleys and how that created who he is, and Draco Malfoy is one of those characters that I think is the perfect foil to Harry, because if Harry hadn't been sent off to live with the Dursleys in the Muggle world, I think there's a fair chance that he would have come out a lot like Draco. He would have been a boy that was handed everything on a silver platter, and maybe he would have been just like Draco, with a big head and rude, and I mean, we don't know who would have raised him, but any person whose ego you stroke a lot is going to it's going to be hard for them not to get a huge ego. So, I mean, really, I think that was one of the best decisions Dumbledore made in regards to Harry and the way he chose for him to grow up. So, I think that Draco is the perfect foil. Again, I use that word, but for Harry, it's a good picture of who he could have been and who he is. And we meet Snape, who, on a basic level, I mean, who can't relate to that? Everyone had that class that they hated, and it always seemed like the class you hated came with the teacher that you hated, and there was always a mutual hatred. We can get that on the very basic of levels, and on a bigger scheme, I think we're already beginning to see that there's a lot more going on there, and Snape doesn't like Harry. So there's no love lost between them, though. Harry's not crying in a corner because Snape doesn't want to, you know, have lunch together. So I guess we could touch on Mr. Ollivander, who, Nathaniel, that's really cool. I didn't know that he was your favorite character. You know, I'm one of those people, I guess, who's guilty of never giving Mr. Ollivander a whole lot of thought, except that when I did see him, I always just thought that Mr. Ollivander was really, really creepy. And when I think of Mr. Ollivander being creepy, I always think of this quote. "The wand chooses the wizard, remember. I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things. Terrible, yes, but great." Harry doesn't really know what to make of him, and when it comes to Ollivander, it's all about the power. I mean, if there's anyone that's going to respect magical power, it's going to be the guy who made the wands for all of these great wizards and witches. So I think when it comes down to it, he's more interested in the power that comes out of someone than what they did with that power. So my other point, which kind of disagrees with everyone else in what they've said about the sorting, when Nathaniel was talking about it yesterday, you know, he was talking about how it's, oh, we're going to put you here, we're going to put you here, and you're going to hate each other. I kind of take it to be a completely different way. I feel like even if they didn't divide these houses up the way they do, maybe if it was just a random draw, I don't think it would have been a peaceful coexistence, because I feel like the Sorting Hat really looks at your true nature. And I know they're 11 when they get sorted, and maybe that is too young, but I don't think that Gryffindor and Slytherin are necessarily enemies, because they're put into different houses and told to be enemies. And I feel like if they weren't sorted the way they were, Ron was still going to be the same person he is, and Draco is still going to be the same person he is, because of the way their parents raised them and the values that were instilled in them. And if they shared the same dormitory, the war was still going to happen. They were still not going to get along. And Ron and Harry and Draco are not enemies because one's a Slytherin and the other two are Gryffindors. They're enemies even before they were sorted. So, yeah, that's my point on that. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this up because the animal war that's brewing in my bedroom is about to explode. Everyone else has said it, but please make your video replies or even just your comments so that you can give us something to do on Sunday. It's not hard to do. iPhone, webcam, really old camera that has a tape like I'm using. So make them, post them, we will splice them together, and of course tag you in them so that you'll see them. And yeah, so I'm gonna go and enjoy your weekend because it's Friday. Alex will see you tomorrow. Everyone else, I will see you next week, and bye.